chaotic as can be, but at the end of the day, we get stuff done. All right, yeah, welcome to the After Town Hall updates. And we are, as a Catalyst Swarm After Town Hall team, retiring from hosting the After Town Hall and looking for someone to fill the shoes for the community. And as well as all that, we're going to have a little retrospective on Catalyst Swarm. A retrospective presentation that Felix has been putting together over the past couple of weeks and has come up with some cool graphics and some logos for how we have for the evolution of Swarm. So, floor is yours, Felix.
I actually started to prepare our own presentation, but threw it away and said, no, come on, let's not go into the slide text. Let's stay here with our cameras and see each other and more story in this regard. Because I really don't want to repeat stuff or take time where everybody can do asynchronously and just give it a look. I drop a link in the live chat here where you can have a little bit a look on what Pete just mentioned. In a second.
Assumption that's the reflection session we have.
Exactly. But after town and general Catalyst town, what was the whole thing actually about? Like early Catalyst days. Some people here might remember there was a very first town hall. This was on Crowdcast on the bit. Well, how was it called? Danny, you may remember. What was the name again of?
That was a Crowdcast. That's correct.
Yeah. Exactly.
I know because every time I hear Crowdcast, then I see the smiley big bear face of Dora in there. It's forever embedded in my mind.
Yeah. And this, what we saw already in the beginning, this was not the coolest format because this was much more like, oh, okay, presenting, but not that nice to interact actually with the audience. And also to say today is the last after town hall from Swarm, but that's actually a good thing. It's really a good thing. With Swarm, we have spent years and years now in spinning up projects, communities, spaces, workgroups, whatnot. And our goal was always become obsolete. Introduce tools, introduce knowledge, help them to build up on your knowledge, what you have built before, but make sure to get out there. Don't control the thing and make sure the people which you introduce and put on place are moving far beyond what we could even think about. And really in this term of, this distributed networks, right? So I think it's something really beautiful happening now. Because with this actually, we give away our last, let's say, really proactively driven thing in Catalyst community in this regard. Everything else has already successfully been taken over by other people. So I think this had to happen sooner or later, and it's a good thing. So look on it really from a very positive side, I would say. And with this, back to the town hall. Let's tell a little bit the history behind, like mentioned already, it started with Crowdcast. And then something happened like that there was I think it was in Fund 4, 5, when we had Governance Alive. Some of you may remember. They came in to ideally help the community to set up some governance things and stuff and whatnot. And this ended up not as desired, I would say, because community really showed, hey, no, we don't want external companies telling us how we should govern ourselves. We want to explore this ourselves. And they also introduced this thing of open spaces. And the first actual real town halls, then we moved from Crowdcast much more into other interfaces. This was introduced by, Governance Alive back in this time and called Open Spaces. In the meantime, some months ago, Swarm started already this Swarm sessions. It was really a little bit one of the first places after the book club, which was hosted by James and Jim Labs back then, which was the very first space actually where several people from the community came together to not discuss only their own projects, but to look on Catalyst as a whole. And book club stopped somewhere and Swarm sessions hit in. This was in Fund 3, Fund 4, Fund 3. And the main idea was really, let's try to find this open space where we all can come together and discuss larger catalyst topics at general. And really zooming out a little bit and say, okay, all our projects, all our ideas, what we have in common and how can we ideally help with each other in achieving our projects and visions, dreams and ideas. And then Swarm sessions were running, Governance Alive introduced the open space, and we said, hey, the fuck, IRG, why do you not take a community solution to run the spaces? We do it already. So IRG said, yeah, actually, fair point. Why not? Let's do this. And then the first town halls have been actually directly funded by IRG. This was initiated by Dawn. So this was actually really cool because from Swarm side, we said, no, let's not go with fucking proposals. We are here for Catalyst as well. So let's try to find some other solutions. And so IRG said, oh, okay, cool. Let's fund this town halls directly. This was the good thing. The bad thing is it took them almost a year to pay it. This was a quite nice experience from our side. We said, oh, okay, so let's rather go with proposals. And then Catalyst Town Halls was funded in Fund 6, 7, 8. And we had a lot of dreams and ideas and visions, how we could explore new formats, adapting the town hall a little bit. It was, I have to say, a little bit difficult because on the beginning, we really had this vision as well from Swarm side, using the town hall as a training field where we can train community and IoT to really collaborate with each other. And it has been, to be honest, a difficult thing where, okay, we shared the space, IoT did their stuff, we did our stuff, but it was quite difficult to come together and say, hey, how can we reshape town hall as whole? So several times we pushed for recommendations or suggestions and whatnot, but it was really difficult to get something ahead there. And I don't even want to judge IoT there because they are operating the fund and they have to stay neutral. And I definitely understand this perspective as well. You can't favor and champion too much one project, right? And I think we ended then up a little bit in a position where we had this stalemate, checkmate, somehow position where we got comfortable with, okay, IHG, you run the town hall, Swarm takes the after town hall. But yeah, the format didn't evolve a lot. And we didn't really have the possibility to push for major changes or whatnot in this regard. And over time, Fund 9 was then quite a shit show because we had this first time plutocracy playing out really badly and some sort of strategic downvoting projects where I said, oh, damn, this looks not nice. It's an old problem. We know about this, I think, in the community already since the beginning of Catalyst, that plutocracy is really, really dangerous on some sorts of. And in Fund 9, the after town hall became the most downvoted proposal in the whole channel. From our side, this was a little bit like, fuck you. We do it anyway. So we said, oh, okay, let's move forward on the whole thing. And since then, yeah, did it mostly voluntarily. Therefore, massive shout out to Pete and Kawe, who did this on a weekly basis, because I think on this also what's really remarkable to say, social incentives overcome financial incentives, right? You can't destroy communities just with large assets or bags or whatnot. I mean, we are here for vision and the mission, which goes far beyond ADA assets, I would say. And we are here for years and years to come, and we are here to stay. And it's proves some really beautiful resilience as well, I think, what we can prove as community. A lot of people here didn't get voted. A lot of people here didn't get funded. Even in the opposite, your proposal even didn't have been approved, which is kind of hard to digest, definitely hard to digest, and something we definitely have to learn. But major outcome of town hall and after town hall, well, this was really, really good. In very early Catalyst days, we saw already oh, okay, everything was mostly in English. And we really said, hey, okay, how can we translate this format much more into a concept which can be applied to different communities, languages, and cultures, and to not have only one town hall, but one network of town halls. And this is when we in Fund 4 started, when we started to set up a Eastern town hall with community leaders from the Indonesian, Vietnamese, and Japanese community. And to say, oh, okay, let's take our format here and introduce it to them and let them run the show. Yeah. He's timing my monologue. It's just a quick intro, and he has a timer there. I will even try to make it before. Don't worry, Curtis. And when we started to set up this first Eastern town, we saw this actually works really nice. And then we started to spin up a LATAM town hall as well, mostly through proposals in Catalyst as well. Like LATAM town hall was most coolest establishment of town halls ever. Just submitted a draft proposal. It said, LATAM town hall, we have fucking no idea who wants to do it. Submitted a Google form where people could sign up. And then some 10-ish people from Latin America signed up and said, yeah, cool, we go with it. And I collaboratively just instantly drafted a proposal, which then got funded as well. It was really cool. And then we said, oh, cool, nice. Now we had the Eastern town hall and the LATAM town hall. And so, oh, nice. Now we really have this nice concept where we learn as well how to take previously learned experiences and translate it to new formats and communities so that I don't have to start from scratch and I can benefit from previously learned stuff. And then, yeah, we moved on and pushed further on this Africa, Africa, Pacific, and I missed one, European town hall emerged as well. And then we saw, cool, we have a fully established network of communities running town halls in their own languages, cultures, geographic time zones. And then that was it. And this was the biggest achievement of the town hall, I would say, to spark this format, train people on running these events, onboarding and introducing people into the Catalyst and Cardano ecosystem. And they're all running now. Good thing, LATAM Town Hall, Africa Town Hall, Eastern Town Hall, Africa Town Hall, they all got funded in Fund 10 in Catalyst Open Challenge. So this is a small light of hope there where we can say, ha, despite all the massive downvotes, we got something really beautiful in place. And also that all these town halls operated their stuff, even with the massive catalyst stop of over 6 months from Fund 9 to Fund 10, even without being funded sometimes, where we can say, wow, it's much more than just a business and whatnot. And now, we come to the end. I think that's a little bit a history on the town hall so far. And now we are here stepping back, giving over to somebody else, following our transition as well of making ourselves obsolete. And here, far enough people, competent, willing, and amazing enough to take this forward and move it far, far, far beyond what we could have imagined.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to see what an iteration and some new blood can do in the space. I know when I first started, when Felix first asked me to help out with this, I was very excited and I had a lot of energy. And over the last 14 months, whatever, however long I've helped out with this, I've had less and less energy. So it's good to have open the space for other people to step up and bring what they have to the table. And so that's what I'm hoping to see and see in the future here, and definitely where my heart is in this discussion. So yeah, thank you, Felix, for that recap. Let's pivot over to, we've had a few people reach out interested in taking on this what do we call this stewarding this mechanism. Yeah, a handover. But like the after town hall is a very simple protocol. Essentially, there's a Google form that dumps into a a Google Sheet, and then we have a pipeline document, and we take each entry from that form and we directly copy it into the pipeline document. We track a little bit of participation and who coordinated the event, and then Kawe creates the slide deck that the HTML slide deck that you've seen. Now, but for the longest time, we were just using a Google slide deck and updating it each week. So there's always a need to update a slide deck. You can kind of choose how you want to do that. As you've seen, we've had several iterations of our deck design over the years, and culminating in the beautiful HTML deck that Kawe maintains that lives on a URL that can be accessed by anyone all the time and is the same week over week, which I think is really functional. So yeah, that's a short little recap on the mechanism. But yeah, I know I've heard from Lido, I've heard from Simon, I've heard from QA DAO, all people interested in stepping up to steward the mechanism. So I'd love to start hearing from other people. This is an open discussion, and yeah, floor is yours.
Ooh, is it me?
Sounds like it.
Nice. Thanks, Peter. Thank you guys so much for shepherding this thing. I wasn't aware of all the other interesting parties, but it makes sense, right? This is Cardano, this is Catalyst, this is all about helping each other. I think our interest, Lido's interest, is definitely seeing the town hall and after town hall continue. I think that space is important. Burnout is a real thing, so I think it makes sense to maybe put our heads together about what a more participatory, slightly more decentralized direction or operation or steering of the after town hall, management of it, administration of it. I'm not even sure what the verb is. Because the town hall happens because great teams have ideas to discuss, they have stuff to report. The after town hall, I keep saying town hall, right? Because teams need that space, they need that public forum to meet with the community and exchange ideas. So, anyways, we're interested in maybe some sort of working group setup where we can have contributions from different entities, maybe a little bit more automation along the lines of what Kawe's done with some of the admin stuff to potentially lower the time commitment even further. Thank you again, Swarm. I would definitely like to see the after town hall continuance, and we're here and able and willing to help make that possible. I see Christina here. I know we've been chatting some. Was Steven here earlier? Yeah, I'd love to hear what other people are thinking on this stuff.
I mean, we've already talked a bit about how I see this potentially going, how I see more of an alliance of multiple groups coming together and sharing this responsibility on some type of rotation. I don't know how the community feels about that, but I see some potential there for multiple groups to step up, get that recognition, get that experience, get that exposure, and just serve the community.
Thank you, Christina. Mercy, you have your hand up.
Is that Mercy? That must be Mercy.
Yeah, Mercy is here. Hi, everyone. Really good to I feel the great energy in this room. I think that this is just a clarifying question from me. So is this for sort of the whole Swarm, how Swarm goes forward as a whole, or it's just limited to the after town hall?
Only
is my
to the
question
after
clear?
town hall.
Just the after town hall management, is that correct?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
Exactly.
Swarm as a collaborative will still exist within Catalyst, is that correct?
Definitely. We will never go away. That's for sure. You can count on us.
Perfect. Yeah, so I'm just looking for that clarification.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Mercy, for your voice and speaking up. I like the idea of working group. We have another hand. Let's go ahead and hear from Jose before I start talking.
Great. It's going to be a short thought. I was just trying to build on what Christina was just mentioning about having a rotational responsibility towards the community. So I was going to suggest that something in the line of that funded projects should have a responsibility, not only the right to withdraw some ADA from the treasury, but also some community service, such as every now and then coming and organizing the after town hall on a rotational basis. So we've got, I don't know, 200 funded proposers. That's quite the amount of people to be able to, get enough hands to do this. I don't know if we're going to manage because of the nature of our community to have to do it as a mandatory thing, but it should be like an expected thing for the proposers who get funded, especially to come and give back a little bit to the community who's funding them. That's just a reflection on that.
It's an interesting element to put some onus on funded proposers for stepping up for infrastructure costs. It's good. Merrick.
Hey. Definitely, I don't want to take it over. I vote for Liza, but I just wanted to say that I love you guys. I love everything what Swarm did, and it was like yesterday when we had a session on Mural led by Mac McNulty, and it was great. It was the real beginning of the Swarm, right, Felix?
I love you too, Barry. Really. You're a massive piece of love. You are.
Thank you. So really appreciate you. Kudos to you, guys.
Thank you,
Josh,
Merrick.
you have your hands up.
Thank you, Merrick. I think you should get some fluffy coin for saying that. I'm kidding. I kid.
More fluffy
Hey,
coins.
Josh.
Josh.
Hey, yeah, just wanted to add, I think it's good that Mercy clarified that everything is still A-OK in Swarmland. I think some of us were a bit concerned when we saw that announcement. So yeah, Felix, Peter, Diego, the whole team really, we're here sort of more in the background, but we've been seeing the work we've been doing from the beginning. So yeah, still here, still supporting. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you, sir.
And also on Swarm, one thing that there is not one person in Swarm who can say we do or we don't. Swarm is a network of a bunch of people who come together, and there aren't really chefs. There are some people driving shit, and some others who are a little bit more active, some others a little less active. But like, for example, Tivo and me, we engage a lot in SingularityNet with deep funding and ambassadors program, where we bring a lot of this knowledge and experience here in building up their own innovation fund. But like that, there can't be one person in Swarm who says, we don't do this now anymore. Like sometimes when we, for example, post some stuff, this is very often a general emotion, what we see. So definitely, we can be honest on this as well. A bunch of people here are in Catalyst since years. And they are fucking disappointed, for sure. we stress out topics, idea scale sucks, plutocratic sucks. We stress this out since years. And many of those problems are unsolved. And they just scale up from funding round to funding round, right? I think some people just start to get a little tired on stressing things endlessly out and saying, hey, and there are active solutions on place and we can do it. But yeah.
Iterate. Let's go. Steven, what's up?
Yeah, I just want to pick up on what Felix is saying. Swarm emerged as a way of working, not really an organization. So I think there's often been a misunderstanding there. We're not an entity as such. We're kind of a way of people working together. And that's always been the case over the years. And if there's going to be any legacy for that, it's going to go over, say, to what you're doing, Darlington, or suggesting is just to continue that way of working, to continue a kind of decentralized, collaborative approach, and that also it's about culture. The Swarm has a culture, and the community will follow the culture. So if the culture is rejected by entities or not funded anymore, then the culture will move on somewhere else. And a new culture will replace it. And the culture, you will give the culture you deserve as well. So I'll say that. And also about sustainability, going on, picking up on Jose's point, I would say not about necessarily having a kind of like a trial service, but I think there's an obligation for people's contributions, not to expect people to contribute for nothing. There's a luxury to contribute for nothing. If you can contribute for nothing, good for you. Most people can't. And so they've gone, a lot of those people, and now we fund 10, a lot more of them are going to go. So, good luck to the people who can stay and have that kind of resilience. But resilience is a luxury as well. So I would also suggest, you get what you pay for as well, and what you can incentivize. So if you incentivize at a low level, you'll get low quality. So quality will follow culture. Quality will follow the community. The Swarm will move on. Thank you.
Yeah, qualities of a swarm. People show up to do things and they disturb it. It's beautiful. And I've seen it happen so many times over the last few years. It's very cool. Anyone else? Anyone else? I know that who's here? Simon, I think he had his own room as well, so they're probably over there. But yeah, how would we how do you distribute how do you distribute a working group that coordinates an event that has to happen, that has to be coordinated every single week without fail at a certain time? That's a question for you, because so far it's been done very centralized.
It's actually something what we can learn from. Look on Latin Town Hall, Africa Town Hall, Eastern Town Hall, European Town Hall. How do they actually operate? What did Swarm did actually to make this running? What we did is we reached out to people, said, hey, we have this idea of setting up this thing there. Then first step was to just reach out to some people who said, oh yeah, they would be awesome. They would be interested to do so. Then we spin up a Discord server, get some folks in there, start some communications coordinations, make sure people start to meet and to connect with each other. I think the biggest success of any project is the team. If you don't like to work with the folks you work with, yeah, it will just be a matter of time. You will leave or the whole thing fucks up, right? So we are really looking on this. People have to decide with which they want to work. And you can't set up a team. It's not our decision to decide actually who should do this. It's people stepping up, taking the initiative and the responsibility to say, yeah, we do it. Then Swarm is happy to help and to say, hey, look, this works, this doesn't work. Here we pay some stuff for your first Zoom licenses, or we pay some stuff to that you have some first rewards. This is how we often use budgets from Swarm funded proposals and from the Swarm pool as well. But yeah, also saying, hey, we can't sustain you because Swarm the fuck is not sustainable. Most of the stuff we get, we give other people projects and whatnot to do their own stuff. We are horribly altruistic and not at all egoistic enough to survive our fucking selves in this space. Also coming back to what Stephen mentioned. But yeah, from this side, it's really up to the people to decide, okay, yeah, I want to run it. And if you're open to collaborate with one or two other projects, then it's even more awesome. Because I think what is really cool to say, we want to avoid this single point of failure, not having one person just doing it. And just person had an accident and is in the hospital. Fuck, how do we go over this now, for example?
I would love to hear from anybody who's ran a breakout room what your thoughts is on this. If you've got anything to offer. In the chat, if you can come off mute. Or if you can't come off mute, we'd love to hear your beautiful voice and accents.
True. As you see, I put a timer on my screen up here. That's when the recording will be turned off. So that just puts a little timeline on our discussion here, just FYI.
So we stay.
That's a Nori, that's sort of, I had similar thought too about the this treasury contribution to the town hall. Yeah. One crazy idea I had with, it's possible I was dreaming, maybe not, but if we follow Kawe web thing up the stack and replace the Google form and those pipelines with web assets, there can be some roles that needs to happen, whatever the roles are. People can sign up for those ahead of time and say, hey, I'm committing to that role for,
That
the
date.
20th. Yeah. And then those roles can even have contribution buttons associated with them that anybody can go and provide treasury contribution for the person that's going to fill that role. It's the workshop timing give us a great 2 to 3 weeks window to do a little bit of iteration. I like the processes right now. I like the simplicity of it. None of that needs to change, but some of that admin stuff, there could be some iteration on there that could still retain that potential for incentivized participation and quality and all that. So, and it will make it more visible too, exactly what the work are, who's doing the work from week to week, who's signing up for these things, who's making it happen. So.
Yeah, some added infrastructure could be really cool. I know that if you're talking about it, you must be capable of making it. So that's cool.
Yes. I try not to volunteer to other people. But Catalyst, speaking of entities that's been funded by Catalyst did fund bootstrap the development lab we have in Kenya. So there's some capacity there between them and myself to contribute. Obviously, if it's an open source thing, anyone can add pull requests. But
perhaps a little less related to the after town hall, but I'm wondering if you're starting to create this infrastructure. And a recent tool I tried that was Chronicles for Discord, and what it did was you connect it with the Google Calendar, and then it creates you these Discord events. And we could perhaps do some integration that you're able to populate Google Calendar or Discord directly. So then we can like have this connection. Hey, what kind of breakout room is going to happen also in Discord notifications? Well, because this is my primary tool, but I know some are in Telegram and like different places, but one channel at a time, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I was talking to Lacepool with their Cardano community events efforts they've started recently. One benefit of some infrastructure is the ability to disseminate, like you're saying, TiVo, to the Discord, to what Lace is doing. And maybe that has the side effect of increasing participation in the after town hall and hopefully more creative ideas about incentivization and quality work and consistency and all that the Swarm has been able to deliver on for 126 weeks? What's the number?
106.
100,
26?
106 successful after town halls too. With 800, wait, let me check. We have some numbers with 860 breakout rooms and more than 200 unique hosts.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think this is where some of that working group. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, it's Stephen, but
Stephen.
Yeah, I wouldn't underestimate the importance of this goodwill and the support of the network here. So it's not about tooling. It's not about a simple administrative process. That's the least of it. Actually, if you don't
100% agree with that, because the most important thing is that someone shows up every week to do the administrivia.
Yeah, and also someone wants to has some faith to show you, and if you like, to use that word, has some belief. Yeah, if you start to break that down, you're going to have problems, frankly. And a lot of the community is already disincentivized, so that's already a problem, I would say. So I would suggest that we cultivate that. We cultivate the network. The network is still there. There's still a lot of very willing people. And that is really the important thing to focus on. It's not, the tooling can be done by, we can make this tool and create a booking room system. Yeah, it's quite straightforward, all that. But that's the secret sauce, is the engagement of the community, the belief and the investment of the community.
And thanks for all the people who are creating breakout rooms, because we need people who also join them and who are trying new formats and doing it on a detail level, either sharing or workshops. I got into some point.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and the breakout room host too. I think part of the thing that partially what my mind goes to some of the tooling stuff, because I think it has the potential to amplify that goodwill and like some of that work that is being done that though it isn't aware of right now, potentially. I think that's so they can work hand in hand. I think you need people, right? At the end of the day, whether it's this or that, you need someone to show up and do the thing. If we can find ways.
Yeah, it's also a kind of test. So I mean, I would encourage everyone here, actually, like, even for your connections as well, Darlington. It's like, you know, the Cardano over coffee and all that kind of thing. You know, bring people in. You know, it's step up. Okay. You know, so I mean, this is like, you know, this is decentralized governance. This is decentralized community. That means doing something. That means turning up. And it's not a kind of, you know, it's kind of, yeah, engage and you'll get rewarded from that. So that's really the question is, can we do that? And can the Cardano community do that? And is there anything to incentivize people to want to do that? Is the other thing.
Yeah.
I think also to just the mindset of the operators, I think that's really important. Like keep culture on priority. From my perspective, for example, culture comes first instead of what we are doing. Tools are there to make this culture more accessible, to support it. But if you build tools without culture, you just end up in a really poor society. I think this mindset really to say, for example, some very basics, town hall rooms are set by the community. We don't decide who hosts which room. We don't decide when the rooms close. The hosts themselves decide when the rooms close. We don't decide the topics in the rooms. We provide this open space so that everybody can present their own stuff, right? In this regard. And I think really this culture mindset is really important. Like there are no masters here. There are no lords. And everybody should meet on an equal level as human being. As an operator, you are in service to your community. You do not dictate them what they should do. You should do everything what you can to support what they want, what they need.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, on the culture piece, I think maybe I'm presumptuous, but my presumption is that we have the culture. I think there are people that will step up, you know. Like I guess there's no doubt about that in my head. So I think maybe that's why my head goes to the other things, because I'm presuming the culture is there. But maybe not, I guess. How do we take a next step?
Yeah, next steps for sure. Let's move there. But I would agree with you. I think the culture's there. I think there's people willing to step up all around and excited about the opportunity to do so. And there are already mechanisms inside of this. Well, so we have a submission deadline at 1800 UTC on Tuesdays. That cuts out a lot of the gatekeeping, like I just have to decide who, if you're after the deadline, no breakout room for you tomorrow. If you're before the deadline, 100%, you're on the list. Let's go. And that you don't want to be making judgment calls on rooms. This is going to get complicated. And so that's a big part of the culture, is keeping that type of protection, that the person doing the operation doesn't have to make judgment calls or gatekeep. They just follow the very simple mechanism. And I think that submission deadline really pretty much covers the base on that. So yeah, next steps. What to do next?
Sorry, on
on
that practical point, Peter, you think submission deadlines are really important. So
yeah.
Do you think there's another idea I've heard mooted from a practical point of view of limiting breakout rooms? Should there be like a limit on, you know, for whoever continues on doing the breakout rooms? Do you think we should say, oh, you should not, we only have 4 or 5 slots, and then after that it runs out? Because there has been feedback saying that there hasn't been enough engagement in breakout rooms.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I personally like the openness of the format, but I'm retiring. And I I think that at the end of the day, if we think there's lack of participation, there's probably lack of participation or interest in Cardano in general, and that's why there's less participation in the after town hall. Not that there's too many breakout rooms, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be that a different culture is coming.
Oh, well, so how do we affirm this culture and seed it and protect it and then move forward from there? Like, so, you know, I'm here. I would like to contribute to the next era. What do we do from here? I think Christina already declared her presence.
I
we've
am
got
happy to help.
hands.
You know that.
Yeah, 100%. What's up, Felix?
I think maybe we can count a little bit on Dor and Johnny's funded proposal as well, who helps a lot, who aims to help a lot also in building connections and bridges between builders and entity there. Because I think, after all, one thing what was really difficult, like several times since years actually pushed for some modifications from Town Hall, said, hey, make the fucking main room shorter. Give some major updates and directly move into the open space, give the space to the community. That's actually how most of the community-led town halls are driven as well, right? And this was really difficult to bridge over because we speak a very different language, right? After all, IoT is a company, it's a for-product company. Catalyst is a product after all. And we speak a very different language. And when community says culture, it has a fundamentally different meaning of it than IoT has. And when it comes to terms like community or culture or community-led or decentralized, I think we really need some help to actually have better communications and making sure we actually understand each other and start to speak the same language. And I think whoever takes over
Uh-oh.
Is Felix frozen?
Felix froze.
It's become a still photograph.
Oh no.
Yes, back.
Yeah, you're back.
There he is.
Shit, where did it cut me off?
Oh, I should have taken a note.
Whoever takes over.
Somewhere around everybody, and then you just faded out.
Oh, fuck. What was it for 10 seconds or half a minute?
It was about
Oh,
10
yeah.
seconds. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, then I just said, would just be awesome to whoever takes over after Town Hall to have Dor and Johnny with their funded proposal somehow involved there. And just make sure that we have a facilitation from the operators of the Town Hall to IoT and just learn to speak each other's language and to understand each other properly. Because there's a massive mismatch of this, especially what happened over, I would say, the last 1 year. And we really need help on this.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing what you can get done with low amounts of communication. TiVo.
Yeah, on like the next steps and like starting over, I thought perhaps to share the idea of like consistency, which is something that shows that like the continuation of culture. So not having too long breaks in between doing stuff and having that possibility to kind of go with the flow and still having some network points, even if they are not that highly like asset creative, but simple, just learning to know each other. So that helps to keep the continuation go. And from now the recent like lesson from starting initiating new workshops every now and then, it's really about that the first stumble block usually takes like 1 month to get that high engagement and just keep your passion alive for this starting moment and the handover moment, because this is the hardest part. The rest of them is going to be much easier, and you will find people comfortable with the new engagement models and the way you're working. The tribe will find you.
yes. Just so everyone knows, pointing out the 9-minute mark. Nin, welcome, sir. Good to have you.
Hey guys, sorry I'm driving. I don't know if you can hear me clearly,
You sound pretty
but
good.
awesome. Glad to be here. When I saw the news on Twitter, was pretty sad, shocked, but I get it. You know, I respect you guys' decision. And I'm super grateful for the whole Swarm team and all of their contributions. It's good to also take a break, for sure. Right. I spoke with Simon and Patrick yesterday during our OSD proof of life onboarding, and they mentioned that they wanted to throw their hats into the working group to help run after town halls as well. I'm thinking I'll probably throw my hat in as well because I want to help out in any way I can, although time is quite limited. Right. You guys' time was very limited and you still did it week over week. I love what Lido said about automation. It shouldn't take that much time. There's still gotta be a human in the loop. So it's good to have builders and devs on the team. I do know bounties will work if there's anything that we need to build. And I know Swarm has used gimbal tokens, right? And so on. I have a bunch. Even though they may not be worth anything today, you know, I cherish them for hosting after town halls. And by the way, they're what make Catalyst a community. It's the place after, you know, all the announcements from IO and other funded projects and so on. It's really where I got to connect and make friends with so many of you. So thank you for that time. And I hope at the very least that's gonna be something that's gonna save, right? That we can keep building Catalyst in that way and empower people to find their own tribe and communities and make friendships and make connections. I did have one thought, one suggestion, critical suggestion about maybe perhaps making Swarm after town hall or now just after town hall operations a little bit more sustainable. Perhaps for people who want to post a after town hall, there may be a small fee to host one or post one. Right. Doesn't have to be huge. Could be like 10 ADA or whatever. Just to, you know, or they can send any type of token that they have in their wallet, NFT, whatever. Just to incentivize the work and just to say, hey, not, you know, beyond words that we're grateful. Yeah. And if there's any efforts, any tools that need to be made or built, as you guys know, Snapback has a gig and job board. We usually take a fee for that, but I know that a lot of teams have not been funded in Fund 10, especially after the, you know, pause for a couple months. It's pretty brutal for a lot of builders. And so if there's any builder out there that's not been funded, including for this project, right, keeping After Town alive, happy to waive any gig and bounty fees for you guys. And you can incentivize people to build with Cardano native token. That includes gimbal tokens or Puffy tokens or whatever else tokens. Love you all.
Thanks, Nin. Mr. Darlington, shake it out.
I was thinking out. I see the time clicking there, and I would love to hear what Dor has to say. I would also love to hear what's a good venue for this conversation next. Is it in the workshop in week in the breakout room again? Is it a Telegram chat, Discord? Like, how can we keep these creative ideas and juices flowing?
Honestly, I
So
don't know if
anyways.
Tuesday's going to be the right format though, because we're so busy on Tuesday's calls, or Tuesday, now it'll be Wednesday with the cat scoping.
Yeah,
So I don't
Wednesday.
know if we'd
Yeah.
want to do a separate call or if you want to take it to Discord. Project Catalyst Discord server.
Yeah. So maybe if anybody's got ideas or preferences, drop them in the chat. Door, good to see you.
Hit. Yep, unmute. There we go.
Hi, yeah, good to see you too. Yeah, happy I managed to make it despite some tech issues. Yeah, just wanted to just express my gratitude for all the amazing work over multiple years by all of the Swarm crew, and just wanted to highlight a bit about the importance of the work that was done. Yeah, I guess there's two. I guess the big thing is like I feel like for the spirit of Catalyst to actually manifest, it required people kind of like holding that space, holding that belief, and making it possible for people to connect and talk and discuss and get to know each other and meet each other by face, and I think most importantly, like breaking down that fourth wall that we're kind of get used to in like digital spaces that are like non-interactive, or the chat is just limited to short texts, and actually evolve it into a much deeper recurring conversation. And I think that's huge. Like I think that showing that it's possible and inspiring everybody. And yeah, and I think second of all, just looking at it from the Catalyst operations perspective, being on the other side, I think that there were so many instances in the history of Catalyst where the basic concept of it, just being so new and such a new and radical thing, was like constantly challenged. And I think that the after town halls and the participation and how the Swarm showed up and the amount of like engagement it created, I think just like overwhelmed all the critique, and this is why Catalyst is alive and well today, and I think now is like about to step into a whole new journey and phase of, and not only that, but I think that meme is spreading into other blockchains as well. And I think like, we're gonna look at these years, like in 2-3 years in the future now, we'll see how much of this work was such important fundamental work. Okay, so beyond like, so we need to iterate and take feedback and learn and move forward, and there's a lot of work for that, and I'm going to do a lot of that. But I think for today, I just wanted to say thank you for all the important work you've done.
Massive thanks back to you, because it was you, Dor, who gave us this chance very first back then in the early funds, right? I remember when you joined up the first time in the Swarm session and said, "Hey, dudes, what you are doing there is pretty awesome. But you try to do that for a larger scale?" And we were like, "What the fuck? We don't feel ready." And you kind of pushed on this. And this was really, really, really good. So all that directly back. Thanks to you, though.
Yes, thank you. Much love. So yeah, like you said, 17 seconds left. Hey, Darlington, come off mute. Somebody step up. Where's everyone meeting? Come on, 11 seconds. Let's go.
Discord is prevailing in the Catalyst. Discord is the prevailing recommendation right now. I didn't get any objection.
All right. Well, you have one of the admins in the Catalyst Discord server in this call. I'm sure they can wrangle a channel, and the discussion will move there.
This one already. Yes.
There's a town hall general channel, which I think would be applicable since this is part of the town hall. What do you think?
I like it.
Who should I ping on the channel there? Because still Catalyst Discord is a little overwhelming because a shitload of chat. So I wouldn't be
It
surprised
is
that
not a
some people
little, it is very overwhelming, not a little. But
yes, it is.
I will
Definitely is.
Needs a haircut.
I will
haircut is
make the
coming.
journey.
TiVo is a barber when it comes to data, okay? He will delete anything if you ask him to.
The decisions are in motion, so I'm just waiting
That's
the
right.
timer to run to zero and things will go to archive. And we will see new flourishing channels pop up and we'll see how long they can last.
Beautiful. All right. With that conversation, we'll move to our Discord. Maybe there's going to be some opportunity to continue the discussion in Zoom next week. Maybe. Follow the Catalyst Project Catalyst Discord server and follow the conversation there. And with that, let's wrap up this recording, folks. Peace.
No.